God damn it, I look so fat in this. All right, here we go. What's up, guys? Christian Belay here with Denver Nosebleeds. Just wanted to sit down and kind of talk about what the Avs can do here in the off season, see where they can improve. We have some huge free agents that need to be re-signed, including Captain Gabe Landeskog, stud young defenseman Cale Makar, and Philip Grubauer. Going to dive in a little bit deeper here and see how the Avalanche can improve on yet another disappointing second round exit. All right, so let's just pretend that we lose Ryan Graves here in the expansion draft. You got Bo Byron coming back healthy. You got Cale Makar coming back. You got Devon Taves, who was an absolute rock star this year in his first year with the Avalanche. You got Samuel Girard. You guys need to stop with the slander on Sam Girard. I know we had a rough series, but the man's a rock solid defenseman, and he is going to be great for the Avalanche for years to come. Uh, Samuel Girard's usual partner, Eric Johnson, was hurt all year. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what the Avalanche do here with Eric Johnson because he's signed for a huge number on the cap. I believe it's like $6 million this year. The Avs do have the option to buy him out, but I just don't know if Sakic's going to do that this year. Now, obviously, if EJ is healthy, we know how great of a defenseman he can be for the Avalanche. And I honestly think he's going to be back this year. So you got Patrick Nemeth also becoming a free agent. I don't think he's going to be back with the team. You had Jacob McDonald, who stepped up earlier this year, was very absent in the playoffs to the demise of a lot of Avalanche fans. And then you also got Justin Barron, who in his limited time with the Colorado Eagles this year absolutely killed it. So I would argue that this is the strongest and deepest part of the Avalanche team with the defenseman group. But it's going to be interesting to see how we hypothetically lose Graves here in this situation. So there are a few good free agent defensemen out there this year. A couple players that I think the Avs should go after. Obviously, I would love to see Travis Hamonic come over from the Vancouver Canucks. He had a really good year on a really bad Canucks team. He wasn't at fault for a lot of the goals that he allowed. I also wouldn't mind maybe a little bit of a grinder, a little bit of an old school defenseman in Zach Bogosian. He played very well with Toronto this year, was a cup winner with the Lightning 2 years ago. I wouldn't mind seeing him in an Avalanche sweater, and the cap hit wouldn't be very big. And add a little bit of size and hitting to that Avs defense group, which was missing very much in the Vegas series. A name I've seen floated around too that I just don't know if it's going to be in the cards is Jamie Alexiak from the Dallas Stars. I think he would be a great fit with the Avalanche defenseman, but I just don't see how we can get him in the building just with our cap situation. But I think Travis Hamonic or Zach Bogosian would be really, really good fits here in Colorado. And as I said, I don't think the Avalanche are going to spend big in the defenseman market this year. I've also seen a lot of the Seth Jones rumors. I think Seth Jones is a really, really good defenseman. He plays big minutes for the Columbus Blue Jackets and is a really, really good defenseman. I, I just don't think the Avalanche need him. I would much rather see build a little bit with the forward group, maybe get some more size and speed in the forward group, and he's going to cost a lot. Seth Jones is going to cost a lot. So I think we'll either go after Travis Hamonic or Zach Bogosian. Um, I just don't think the Avs need too much help on the defensive end. All right, let's talk some Avalanche forwards now. This forward group is so damn good. It's just a shame that they went out in the second round because, man, from top to bottom, this group was rock solid. Obviously, you have Captain Gabe Landeskog, who's going to be a free agent this year. I don't expect him to go anywhere else. I think Gabe wants to stay with the Avalanche, and the Avalanche want to keep Landy. I think he's going to be due for a little bit of a pay raise. I think this year he was making, let me double check, he was making about $5.5 million. I think we can see him probably go up to 6.5 million a year. I don't know how long the term will be, or if it'll be a bridge deal kind of. But I don't expect Landy to leave and to go anywhere. So expect Gabe Landeskog back in there for about 6.5 million a year, along with Makar's 8 million a year. That's about 14 of the 20 million that the Avalanche will have to spend. A player that I think is going to be the odd man out, although I would love to have him back because he played so well in the playoffs, was winger Brandon Saad. He was really quiet for his standards in the regular season, but man, did he step up in the playoffs. He was really the only consistent forward for the Avalanche in the playoffs this year. I don't think we have the money to pay him unless he's willing to take a severe hometown discount. I would love to have him back, but I think he's going to go. Another forward is Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Name tripped me up there. I don't know why I couldn't speak right there. PEB was, as usual, great fourth line penalty killing forward. He should come back. I think the Avalanche want him back, especially with the veteran leadership he brings to the fourth line. I mean, he was playing with different forwards every single night, it seemed like, with the injuries to the bottom six. But I would love to see PEB back. I think we could get him back for a pretty cheap contract as well. Another free agent, another player I love to death, but I don't think he's going to play, let alone play for another team next year, is Matt Calvert. Whenever he's healthy, the Avalanche are a way better team. But the problem is he's been having a lot of head injuries. He's been having those injuries his whole career. I think we're probably going to see him retire, which is really, really sad to think about. But the Avs are going to need to add some forward depth. You obviously have Alex Newhook, who played well in the playoffs this year. He's not really a grinder like Matt Calvert, but Alex Newhook was really solid. We saw Sampo Ranta play really well in his limited time in the playoffs this year. You also got Shane Bowers, who was really good with the Eagles this year. You got Martin Kaut, who a lot of people forget about, but he's still down with the Colorado Eagles playing well. You got John-Luc Foudy. Wow, those three-part names are really tripping me up here. John-Luc Foudy, who is going to be a really, really good player. Still super young. I think he's going to play well. The Avs have a ton of prospects. I'll be interested to see who plays. But obviously the biggest thing is getting Landeskog re-signed. Obviously. No bigger need than getting Landeskog re-signed. And if Saad's willing to take a hometown discount, I think we'll see Brandon Saad back as well. But there are a few players that I have my eyes on for in the forward group in this year's free agency class, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into those. I forgot about another fan favorite who's a free agent this year, and that's Tyson Jost. Tyson Jost had struggled to live up to expectations ever since he was drafted 10th overall. He really struggled, could never get his feet under him, but this year, holy cow, did Tyson Jost put it together. He didn't score a ton of goals, didn't have a ton of points, but he was instrumental on the penalty kill, and he made himself very present in every game he played this year. He's a restricted free agent this year. I don't think the Avalanche are willing to get rid of him. So I expect Tyson Jost to be back as well this year. It'll be interesting to see what they pay him. We're not going to break the bank for Tyson Jost like we did with JT Compher a couple years ago. But I think Tyson Jost is going to be back with the Avalanche this upcoming year. Another player who had a really, really rough year after such a great first year with the Avalanche was Nazem Kadri. Kadri was super quiet in the playoffs and in the regular season. He was quiet in the playoffs because he got suspended again. And that's the risk you take with a player like Kadri. He's been rumored in trades to Ottawa. I'll be interested to see what Sakic does because he would free up some cap space. But I think Kadri just had an off year. He still has a pretty good cap hit, and I would love to see Kadri back, and we know what type of player he is. Him with Burakovsky has been great ever since they were formed with the Avalanche 2 years ago. I know Berkey had a little bit of a quiet year as well, but Burakovsky, we know he's dripping with talent, and he's 20 goals pretty much every year. So I expect Burakovsky to bounce back from a rough playoffs this upcoming year. And I would hope to see Nazem Kadri back. I think with a couple of tweaks to the third and fourth line, maybe adding a Paul Stastny, maybe adding a Ryan Getzlaf or a David Krejci, I think the Avalanche can really be right back to where they were with one of the best forward groups in the NHL. I mean, you bring back Landeskog, keep together the potent top line of McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog, and then you get a second line of Nazem Kadri, maybe Ryan Getzlaf at center, Burakovsky on the right wing. I mean, you got the talent. The talent's there. So I think the Avalanche will once again not break the bank on any of these free agent forwards, but I do think there are some depth forwards they can bring into the organization because you're going to have injuries every year. It was a shame that Logan O'Connor got hurt because he was having a really, really good year. So the talent's there. It's just going to be who Joe Sakic plugs and plays in, because he's been fantastic in every offseason these past 3 years with adding depth to the lineup, getting them that depth scoring that the Avalanche need when that top line's not clicking. So I think Joe Sakic is going to be very smart. We may see a trade like we did last year for Brandon Saad, maybe pick on a team that's hurting a little bit financially, a little bit closer to the cap than the Avalanche. And the Avalanche really have 2 years. They got 2 years before McKinnon's deal's up, and he's going to command a lot of money. So this is the time you have to jump on competing for a Stanley Cup. No more second round exits. And I don't think Joe Sakic's going to be very patient as he usually is. All right, let's find some forwards that the Avs could get. A rumor I've been seeing online, and I think it would be so damn cool if it happens, is the Avs trading for Buffalo Sabres captain Jack Eichel. Could you imagine a 1-2 punch with McKinnon and Eichel? Whew, I don't think there's many teams that could beat that. I just think that the Avs aren't going to go after him. Joe Sakic showed us that he's not like Pierre Lacroix in that way. He likes to build his team with his prospects, and with solid free agent signings, it would be sweet if it happened. I don't think it happens. Another player that I've been keeping my eye on, and I think he would be really good in a little bit of a reunion, would be Paul Stastny. Played well with the Winnipeg Jets this year. Centered the top power play unit, or maybe the second power play unit, but was a big part of the Winnipeg Jets. I'd be interested to see, maybe he wants to come home and finish his career with the Avalanche, and I think he would be a great third-line center. Another player that I would love to see play for the Avalanche, but I don't know if he's going to leave Boston, is David Krejci. Krejci has been one of the least talked about forwards in the NHL in his time with the Bruins, but he is so good. Another player that I think could potentially come here if he's trying to chase a cup would be Ryan Getzlaf. Getzlaf is getting a little bit older. He's played with the Ducks his whole career. I would be really interested to see if he would come to the Avalanche. He would definitely add that size, that playmaking. He's still one of the best passers in the league. He was rumored to go to Vegas during the trade deadline. He may go there in the offseason, but if he wants to come to Colorado, I think we make the whatever we need to pay, make it work, because he would be a great third line, second line center. All right, let's talk about my MVP of the team this year. Finally put it together, finally stayed healthy, and that's goaltender Philip Grubauer. Grubauer was a Vezina finalist, and I think he was honestly robbed of winning the Vezina trophy. Just my opinion. I know I'm a very biased Avs fan, but hey, that's just my opinion. I'm just saying. Of course, he put this together in his free agent year. He is a top 10 goalie in the NHL right now. I think that's fair to say. I got in a little bit of a Twitter fight with an Avs fan who thought that Grubauer was the reason why we lost that series with Vegas, and I don't know what he was talking about. The Avalanche goaltender, Philip Grubauer, was the best player in games 3 and 4. He kept those games close, and he was the only reason why the Avalanche were able to win them. I guess they didn't win. They lost 4 in a row. Yeah, damn, that's kind of sad to think about. But he's a free agent. I think Grubauer is going to be back with the Avalanche. I mean, he played in the Celebrity All-Star game here in Colorado this year. I don't think he wants to leave. I think he likes what the Avalanche are. He loves the defenseman in front of him. I think he's going to re-sign. I don't know how long the Avs will sign him for. I would expect a typical goaltender deal of 3 to 4 years. I think that's around $5 million, probably is what his AAV is going to be. You have to bring him back. Grubauer was not the reason why the Avalanche lost this year. Grubauer is fantastic, and I think he needs to come back. We also were missing this year. Oh, man, we missed him. Pavel Francouz. The Avs struggled with backup goaltending all year. I mean, you threw out Devin Dubnyk, you threw out Hunter Miska, you threw out Jonas Johansson, who struggled in his first game, but I think Jonas Johansson, keep an eye on him. He could be the Avs starting goaltender in a couple years. He's big. He's got the talent to stay in the NHL. But keep an eye on that. Jonas Johansson, maybe. Obviously, the big news is Pavel Francouz hopefully coming back healthy. He had a really bad hip injury that kept him out all year. And if Francouz is back, you have the best, in my opinion, one of the best 1-2 punches in the NHL. Francouz People forget how good he was 2 years ago. He kept the Avalanche afloat when Grubauer got hurt in that Stadium Series game, and there was a lot of debate before the bubble who was going to be the Avalanche starter going into the playoffs. Was it going to be Philip Grubauer, or was it going to be Pavel Francouz? Um, so I think the Avalanche re-signed Grubauer, $5 million, with Makar and Landeskog taking up a big chunk. You're looking at about 19 of your $20 million in cap space right there. It's tough. I mean, the Avalanche have so much talent. You're going to lose some good players. But I think Sakic's going to find a way. I mean, hell, the Lightning figured out a way to win a Stanley Cup being $18 million over the cap. So maybe the Avalanche can figure out something too. Um, I just think the Avalanche need to make some minor tweaks. This team's going to come into camp pissed off. They hate losing, especially the way they lost. They got bullied. They got beat down. It was a real rough ending, and it's enough of the talk. This team's been talking for 3 years now about how they're going to win a cup and they're going to compete for a cup, and for 3 straight years they've lost in the second round. Um, so it's going to be a very interesting offseason. We just need to stay a little patient. I mean, remember Avalanche fans, the Lightning got swept in the first round by the Columbus Blue Jackets 3 years ago. They've now gone on to win 2 Stanley Cups. I'm not saying the Avalanche are going to win 2 Stanley Cups, but I do think the Avalanche are going to find a way to compete and probably make it to the Stanley Cup Finals next year. I mean, you're going back to the normal Central Division. You're not going to face the same team every third day, is what it seemed like. You won't see a team like Vegas until the Western Conference Finals at minimum. You got the Blues, who knows what the Blues are going to do. You have the Wild, who, as much as I hate the Wild, I give them credit. They're building something. Kirill Kaprizov is a man. So you got the Wild, the Blues, the Predators, who made the playoffs this year, but it looks like they're starting a slow rebuild after that trade with Victor Arvidsson. Blackhawks are obviously in a rebuild, and I'm struggling on the last couple teams. You got the Arizona Coyotes, who are going to join the division. Coyotes, the Avs love to play the Coyotes. We beat up on the Coyotes every year. And then you've got the Winnipeg Jets, who are good, but how good are they? They played in the North Division all year. So the division's there. I fully expect the Avalanche to win the division. And we'll see. I think this team is good. They're really good. They let us down last year. Everyone knows that, but we got to be a little patient. That's my message to all Avs fans. Be patient. So once again, thank you for joining me. I think the Avalanche can make a couple changes, not go crazy. If we do make a trade for Jack Eichel, I will get that jersey in 0.2 seconds when it drops. But I just want to say thank you again for joining me. My name is Christian Belay. Make sure to go check out denvernosebleeds.com. We have a very cool Samuel Girard t-shirt on there for $15. Can't beat it. As always, much love, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good one.